Ladies and gentlemen, please, if I could have some silence. Last year, Paul Miller was standing here, then it was Paula Henley, and now it's me again. Good evening. How you doing? Welcome to you all on the presentation night when everybody gets a mention, and it's a chance for us to say thank you, the directors, the chairman, to all the people that do a lot of work for the club, and obviously for nothing at all. And that is always mostly appreciated. We're always looking for volunteers. A big thank you. I won't go on about the football because Steve Cuss will be on about it here in a minute, but we did do a lot better than last year, and that's been a good season for us. I'd like to thank the supporters, of course, because without you all, we wouldn't be here, and it's nice to see so many people turning up tonight. So thank you for your support. I'd like to thank my fellow directors for all their hard work, especially Ken Fergus. He seems to do more than most. So Ken, thank you. Simon Carton, unfortunately, our bar manager, is leaving us next week. That's cheers to say thank you for him. It's not been for him, which has been a shame because we've got on very well. He's done a lot for me, and I thank him for that. Simon, we do thank you for all your efforts that you put in to the club. You've left the club a lot cleaner, a lot better place than when you first came in. So thank you for all your hard work. I have given Simon his bottle of champagne. I've given the bar staff all their prizes, so we move on. So I'll ask Steve Cuss to come forward and say a few words about the football season as he sees it. Not necessarily everybody else, but as he sees it. Steve.
Thank you. Okay, so we always get to this stage of the season, and I normally say, look around to my assistants and kind of like say, are you going to say a few words? And they all hide in the corner. Well, they've gone even further this time, and Rosie's gone off to the Bahamas for a week, so he's definitely not going to say anything tonight. But obviously, it's time to reflect on what I believe is a successful season, and hopefully, with the words that I'll say now, hopefully I can prove that to everybody. I think, you know, in reality and in truth, we were stood here 12 months ago and we're not quite sure what the season was going to bring. We knew that, you know, we didn't have a chairman at the time, and Ken, as he always does a magnificent job in stepping back into that role a couple of times this year. But, you know, the budget was cut, and I'm not one of those managers who talk about money and budgets a lot, but obviously, you know, at that point, I was really looking around thinking which players we could keep and which ones we couldn't. And there was a crucial point where I looked at the 12 senior players, and I don't know how I can call them senior because some of them are like 21, 22, but the 12 players that had Southern League experience, and you know, I really wanted them to stay, and I felt that if we could keep those 12, then we could just build on that. And I'll say a thank you to the players a few times tonight, but the 12 of them who negotiated and committed again for the season, you know, a big thanks at that time because we needed every single player then. So thanks to the players. So only having 12 players meant I needed a few more, and Jeff was pushing himself forward again in pre-season, but we were looking elsewhere. And you know, one or two players come in and one or two players left. But I've got to have a little special mention for Tom Biles, who was one of our pre-season signings. He came along, he knew the situation, he probably knew what my best 11 was, and that he would have to fight really hard to get into that. But I said that, you know, there'd be opportunities with such a small squad, and every time that Tom's played, you know, if you look at the stats around that, are really impressive. We've won a lot of games when Tom's played, and he's played right back, left back, centre half, centre midfield, and filled in everywhere for us. So a big thank you to Tom in his first season with us, and it's been a good one for him. Squad-wise then, it was about looking to add to it as we went along, and the inclusion of Jack Lupton, I think it was around September, October time, coming in was another boost for us. Franklin Clark, Luke Stone towards the end of the season, just you know, enabled us to just build on the squad as we went throughout the season. And we didn't use the loan market too much this year, as we have done in previous years, but bringing in Luke Holmes for the last couple of months at the end of the season was another real high plus for him, and hopefully Luke will do well while he's out and about trialling at the moment. And for all those questions I get asked, is that we're doing our best. If that doesn't work out for him, we'll try and get him here next season if we can. So thanks for Luke for coming in and playing the last couple of months as well. So I often have to say a few words about the season and how it went, and normally when it comes to the cup competitions, I kind of like skirt over it in about 5 or 10 seconds and get rid of it. So the fact we had a cup run, I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about that. I mean, when the draw was made, first of all in the FA Cup, I sent Oster at home. I looked at their league placings and they were step 6 side, and I thought, this is our chance. This is our chance to win an FA Cup match, which I've never done as the manager here. And it was a big day for us. But when as I always do a little bit of homework on the opposition, I realised they weren't quite a step 6 side. And the day we beat them, I don't think they lost again until the FA Vars semi-final. They were a very, very good side. But the actual day itself was one of the highlights for me. It was a fantastic performance from us in some really difficult circumstances against some good sides. To go 1-0 up very early and then be pegged back and be at 2-2, and I'm sat on the bench there 2-2 with 15 minutes to go thinking, I haven't got a side to go to St Austell on Wednesday night, we'll never get there. And as so often, we relied on Mark to score as another goal and complete his hat-trick, and it was a great day to win that game 3-2 and get sort of like that monkey off our back a little bit that we won an FA Cup tie. So, we really enjoyed that one, and the emotions that go with it kind of like took me back. And when I'm a kid playing in the back garden with my brother, with thinking that it's the FA Cup final, and that's what it was for me. And that's what I want to try and talk about a little bit tonight, because I've stood up here a few times and you've probably listened to me, and here we go again, you've got to listen again. But I'll try and explain a little bit what goes through my head on these games. And one of the big things for me is in that game is that, when I'm at home on a Saturday morning, I knew I had to make some big decisions, whether that was going to be a substitution, whether that was going to be tactical, and I try to keep myself calm on the day. But I've got to say that when Mark's goal went in, I kind of like lost it, and I think I was that 10-year-old boy back at home, back in Torquay, playing, thinking I'm scoring the goal myself. Now, I did some kind of jig or dance when Mark scored. Now, for about 5 seconds, that was it, and I stopped and I thought, oh, no one's seen that, I've done quite well. It wasn't until I came to training on Monday and Ed Taylor, the reserve team manager, has come over, shook me hand, he said, fantastic performance on Monday, well done. He said, I loved your dance at the end as well. I think he was the only one who saw it, so, I lost my head a little bit there, but I lost my head because it was a great occasion, and one that will be remembered for a long time, and it brought a little bit of money in as well, which helped. But I think the big one was the FA Trophy Cup run. I think for a club of our size to get to the first round proper of that competition and the limelight that come with it was a magnificent achievement. And I think if you look back to the cup draw, we had a little bit of pressure on us that they drew the first 2 rounds, and for us it was like, if we could beat Godalming in the first round, we'd have Dorchester in the next. And I think without, the lads wouldn't say it, but it was kind of like a little cup final for us, that Dorchester one. It's one we wanted to go there. And myself, I thought it's just suited us. It would suit us to go to Dorchester as the underdogs, local derby, and we'd be a nice place to play. I thought it would bring the best out in us, and it was another great day. And one of the things I've said, I've tried to keep calm during matches, is during the game I sit up in the stands for 1 or 2 if there is a stand present. And again, there was a little situation where when it comes to when the players get on the ball, in my head I kind of like think what they're going to do next. So if they don't do it, I can pick them up on it. If they do it, I can pat them on the back. And for 25 minutes we've done okay. I remember Jace having to make 1 save, and we were okay in the game. And we're defending a corner, and it went out to Sam Griffin on the edge of the box. And in my head I'm going, get on the half turn, saying get turned, and he does. And I'm going, play forward, and he plays it forward to Mark Gamble. And I see the Dorchester defender at the time show Mark the left-hand side, thinking, Mark's right-footed, I'll show him the left-hand side. And I thought, he's made a mistake. Mark, just running. We've been here, Mark's played for us for a couple of seasons now, I know he likes going down the left-hand side. So by this point, in my head, I'm going, run. And Mark gets on his bike and he's running down the touchline. And in the corner of my eye, I can see Matt Kemble bursting a gut to get into the box. And it went from run that I was describing to Mark to cross it. So by this point, I'm sat in the stand and I'm trying to keep my cool during the game, but I'm up holding on the railings because I think this is our chance to score. So I'm holding the railings in front of me, stood up, and I'm going, Mark, cross it, cross it, cross it. And of course, Mark times it perfectly, crosses it, Matt comes in, finishes it, and we're 1-0 up. Now at that point, you know, I'm not a young man anymore, I'm a little bit getting on over it. I jumped the railing that was in front of me. Now I've got a bad back, a bad knee and a bad ankle, and at the time I've got my hands up in the Dorchester stand on my own, jumping over the top of the fence. I then think to myself, what am I doing? Sit back down. So it was fortunate there was not too many people around, but that's the kind of emotions that, you know, it goes through in a game, and I think that game as well will live a long time, because to go there and play as well as we did, with a few players missing, I have to say, was magnificent. And I know the players appreciate the support that you give us, but I've got to say on that day when they walked over to the far side and there was a few supporters on the far side there clapping and applauding, and they walked back in through the tunnel and everybody looked up in the stands and there was even more supporters. Those are kind of like special moments, and you know, the players probably won't admit it when they're young men, but they'll look back on that when their careers and they'll remember that first round that we got to and those victories over Dorchester. But just going on, I think it was one special moment for me was the Hornchurch game. It was 2-2, they were 10 men, it was going deep into, well, I think it was about the 89th minute, and I was thinking to myself in my head again, doing what I do on the touchline, thinking, just give me one more chance, give us one more chance to try and win this. And the ball got played to the left-hand side and the defender did a bit of a bad header straight to Jamie Davison, and Jamie did a little bit of magic, beat his man and finished it at the near post. And the special moment wasn't so much the goal, it was the reaction afterwards, because Jamie ran over to the corner flag and I looked up, and I was quite calm on that one. I was quite calm, I wasn't dancing around. I was quite calm, and I looked around and I saw the 10 outfield players racing over to the corner flag. And when they got there, I could see everybody in the stand on their feet, and they were all pouring towards the corner flag a little bit, looking that way. And everybody was doing that little dance that I was doing against and I just looked up there, and I've still got that picture in my mind now. I can think now, and I think, you know, people talk about what is success, but that was success that day. Because we put smiles on people's faces. The players put smiles on their own faces, the supporters' faces, and that was a memorable occasion for us. And of course it got better because Mark scored again a minute later and we won 4-2. So, you know, the whole build up to the first round draw against Oxford was something special, and it was great to be part of. And you know, we do our best to try and bring those good times here as much as we can. And you know, we'll go again next season. And I think it was fair to say there's most people know that I've had a few little doubts personally whether I'm going to carry on next year, but I don't want to make some big bold statement. But when I made the decision that I was going to carry on next year, it was thinking of that goal and that moment against Hornchurch which made me think that is success, and that's what we want to try and bring back all the time on a regular basis. So we'll look forward to next year. You know, we'll go again in the cups and see what it might bring. I think on top of that, you know, the league has been another terrific. I mean, you know, a little bit disappointed that the point tour didn't bring us a little bit forward more places. I think 13th in the league didn't really reflect the 61 points that we got. But 61 points, I can't tell you how hard that is to get in this league. It's a tough league, and you know, we've had to battle it, you know, week in, week out to get those points. There's been some memorable performances, some great individual performances, some great goals scored, some great defending. And again, the players deserve all the credit for that point haul and the cup run, because they've been magnificent this year. So, you know, I think we can say it's been a success with the trophy run and the 61 points. And hopefully, if we can keep on improving that, get us a little bit closer towards those magical playoffs. Because when we sit there this week and we look who's in the playoffs, and you think to yourself, we did all right against them. And when you got promoted, and you know, we did all right against a team that finished champions as well, we're not a million miles away, I hope. So hopefully we can continue the growth that we've had in 4 years and keep that going. Obviously, there is lots of thank yous to say. I'm not going to steal Ken's thunder and talk about people individually. I'm just going to just say a big thank you to everybody. It is appreciated from the players and myself, all the hard work that everybody puts into this football club and making it so special, and it's a great club to be involved in. So just ahead of Ken announcing all the individual volunteers and helpers that we've got, can I just say a collective thank you to everybody. Thank you. I do have to say the individual thanks to the staff though, because obviously at the start of the season I didn't have an assistant manager, I didn't have a coach, and it was great when Roasty come back. Roasty is probably the most honest person. You know, he tells me exactly what it is, and if I ask his opinion on anything, I get a straight answer, and you know, it probably sums him up again. I told a little story last year about how he played and he had a bad ankle, but you know, we were home here against Larkhall. He'd had a few games in goal for Christchurch, but never played in goal at this level. And Jace wasn't fit, and Ben wasn't fit. And I said to Roasty, will he play in goal? And he played in goal, kept a clean sheet, and never lets me forget that he kept a clean sheet, because he's also kept another clean sheet when he come on a sub. So he keeps telling me that he's got a couple of clean sheets and never let a goal in. But you know, Roasty and I've got to say, Clive, they train exceptionally hard, and you know, they look after Jason very well, and with that little band of goalkeepers that train together, they work exceptionally hard, and they get their rewards. So Roasty and Clive, in their absence tonight, if we give them a little round of applause. Now it's could go on to talk about the phys now, the physio. There's certain stories I can't say about him because they're just not repeatable. But you know, John is a real character. The players love him. Again, people don't know the work that he puts in. We always speak every Sunday. He helps me immensely with the planning and the preparation in terms of training for the week and matches that we got coming up, because he tells me who's fit and when they're likely to be back. And he offers that great support personally as well. And you know, I said about the 12 players that signed at the start of the season, John played a big factor in that as well, and I'm grateful for John for his continued support with myself right throughout the season. There is one story though. He did get in trouble for entering the field of play when he wasn't allowed, and I had the unusual situation of finding myself with my physio suspended for 2 matches. So I asked Peter to phone the FA and say, look, tell him we haven't got any physio, get him off the ban. And the FA were adamant that he's going to be banned. So I thought, oh no. They said, you've got to pay for another physio. Well, you know, money's tight, we haven't got him. So I said, I'll just do it, I'll just run on. So the first game, no one gets injured, great, I don't have to run on. The second game, Max Brimson gets injured against Hamworth, and it's right up here on his top side, and John moans a lot about the slope, having to run up the slope. He wants the dugouts on the other side. Well, having run up there, I now know that he's right, we've got to get the dugouts on the other side. But the funny thing was, is when I got to about 10 or 15 yards away from Max, he decided to get up. And reportedly, I was heard to say, Max, if you get up now, I'm going to kick you, so you better stay down. But like I say, John's been fantastic for me, and there's a few stories, and he keeps the lads amused in the dressing room, and it's great to have him around. Obviously, as part of the other double act, we like to call them, is Jeff, and I think I mentioned earlier there that Jeff is always, it's been a bit of a standing joke, ever since I've been manager, he's been trying to get himself a game, and he stopped this year in doing the lunges in front of me in the dugout, trying to convince me that he should come on. But he has got himself onto the pitch a couple of times, and the first one was John had to take Jamie Davison into the change room because he's cut his foot badly, and John's in there, and about a minute later Adam Costello goes down injured, and I thought, I'll have a look around for where's the bag, I'm going to have to run on because John's not there, he's in the changing room. Look around, and by the time I've looked around, Jeff set off. Now, I use the word set off because it wasn't really with much pace. And he now knows how steep that hill is, because Adam was right up in front of the main stand here, and as he gets there, and I would say as he got here, it was quite a while until he got there, but when he got there, he probably got the biggest cheer of the season when he got there. But Adam had been lying on the floor, and as he got up, I think he uttered the words, "What the are you doing here?" And turned and said, Jeff had a bottle of water in his hand. He said, "What are you going to do with that?" So, you know, he got himself on the pitch from that one, but he even went a bit further against Shortwood. Shortwood away, for those who've never been to Shortwood, is their change rooms are behind the goal. And we come out at half time, and I think Jeff had been filling up the bottles, so he was a little bit behind. So all the players are out on the pitch, the referee's out there, he blows his whistle. He hasn't seen that Jeff's in the penalty box. Still walking across. So John, myself and the subs are in there. We can see Jeff, he's in the penalty box. Now he's trying to get a run on to get off and not be spotted by the ref. The ball gets played forward, the referee sees him, blows his whistle, says, what are you doing on the pitch? We've got to restart. Now, restarted the game, but you know, Jeff in his little wisdom said that we won that game 1-0 and Luke Stone scored in the 93rd minute, and Jeff said to me afterwards, he said, it wouldn't have been 3 minutes injury time if I wasn't on the pitch. So he tried to claim a little bit of an assist for it. But all seriousness, again, Jeff is absolutely fantastic for me. I can't say how much support that John and Jeff give to me. Jeff in particular will be up here during the week, cleaning the changing rooms, preparing things, going down the laundrette, sorting out the kit, all the things that I'd have to do if I didn't have that kit man support. So for Jeff to be part of my team is really important to me, and I really appreciate the work he does. And he's a volunteer as well. So with that in mind, I have a little gift for Jeff. So if you want to come up, please, Jeff.
You will, Jeff.
Also, I'd like to just say a big thank you to Ed Taylor. Ed, unfortunately, is not here tonight, but often the job of a reserve team manager and under-21 manager, as he was this year, is not an easy one. And you know, when I'm taking his players to come into the first team, because I've got a pretty small squad, leaves him quite threadbare at times. And Ed has been magnificent in the 3 seasons that he's been with me, and he's got those rewards this year, because I have to give another special praise to a few of the young lads that he's brought in terms of, you know, the season's a long season from August or July when you start right to the end of April. There's times when, you know, players can get a little bit flat, and I think the young lads coming into the first team environment in January was really impressive. And Louis Kellaway, and Waters, Chris Wilcox, Callum O'Hare all came in and around that time, and give our senior players, if I'm being honest, a real big boost, because they come in, they didn't have any fear, they played exceptionally well, and you know, they took us through a period where we were really low on numbers, and quite rightly they kept their place in the team for a long time. So you know, Ed deserves a huge pat on the back for that, for producing those players, as do the young players that come in and played, and hopefully we'll see more of them next year. So onto a few awards. In the absence of Ed, I've got the 2 awards to come from the reserve side, and his manager's player of the year is somebody I've seen play half a dozen times that I've managed to get to the games when they're not on a Saturday the same time as us, so the evening games, and you know, I've seen him play in a couple of different positions, and he's done exceptionally well in those games, and he fully deserves this award. So big round of applause for Brandon Papp. Scozy, as they call it.
Everybody's leaving him. Right, David. Thank you.
Players play. I think this is obviously for the first team and the reserve team squad. This is always a big award. It's nice when you get an award off other people, but when you get it from your fellow players, it's kind of like means something really special. And the young man that's won this award is pushing hard for a first team place. He works hard in training with the first team when he comes in for us. And again, I've seen him play well for the reserves. I've given him his debut for the first team this year. He's had a couple of games, and I'm sure that he'll be pushing even further for more first team appearances next year. So the player's player is Zach Phelps. Okay, so next award, just going to ask Tony Jackson to come forward for this one, if he comes to present this one. Now, the supporters player of the year is obviously a single vote for each of the supporters that come. Now, I think I've mentioned it already. Thanks, Tony. I think I mentioned it already. The players and myself really appreciate the support we get. We like nothing better than playing here at the Cuthbury in front of 200 people, 250 people, kicking this way second half and being cheered on and supported. And the support that we get, particularly at home, is great. But I've also got to say a big thank you to the supporters that travel away. Living where we do, we have to travel a fair few miles, and we often get a fair few supporters on the bus and in their own cars as well. So thank you for everybody that supported us. In terms of the award this year, I know it was a close run thing, and it was just one vote separated the players. The actual player that's won it, I can't speak highly enough of him. He's had an absolutely fantastic season for us. I signed him as a striker and I said, don't worry, I'll never play you in midfield. And then I had to put my arm around him one day and say, I'm a bit short in midfield today, can you play in midfield? And he did, and his performances just got better and better, to the point where that when he went back up front against Evesham, he kind of like forgot how to play in the striker role. But in midfield, his performances have been outstanding. His range of passing, his intelligent play and his use of the ball has been particularly good for us. So thank you to the supporters who have voted James Stoker their player of the year. So onto the first team players player of the year. Again, one vote separated this. Now, unfortunately, James was second on this one, which shows that the players thought highly of James's performances as well. But the person who's won this has been that model of consistency again this season. His performances sometimes go unnoticed, but I think they've stood out a little bit more this season, and particularly some of the saves he's made have been outstanding. But for me, the role of a goalkeeper just isn't about saving the ball, as strange as that means. I mean, it's nice if they do make a save, but it's about the routine stuff. And Jason is probably the best at that I've seen and worked with. And his handling the ball is very impressive. His distribution is very impressive, and he's had another fantastic season for us. And he's committed for next season as well, which is great. He's going to sign before he goes tonight, so he signed as well. Okay? So players player is Jason Harville. Okay, so next award, I kind of like give it away when I just tell you what it is. It's top goal scorer, but we know that Mark's done that, and Mark is a terrific goal scorer. And the thing that I like best about Mark is that he scores all types of goals. And if I highlight the one against Swindon, which was an overhead kick in the 86th minute, when we looked like we'd absolutely thrown everything at Swindon, and their goalkeeper looked like he was going to have the day of his season, and it looked like we were going to lose the game, and suddenly the ball's bouncing in the box, and Mark produces this overhead kick. Now, it's on camera, but I honestly say this, if this was on the TV cameras, they'd be showing that over and over again. But Mark scores those types of goals which are special. He scores goals that from a yard, and he'll score the goals that he makes on his own, and he's a special goal scorer. And again, to get 30 plus goals for us, and as he did the season before, is a very impressive tally. So top goal scorer is Mark Gamble. I've got two to go. Okay, so this one is the young player of the year. I always struggle a little bit this one, because what qualifies for a young player? We're a young side. Often in training we have young boys versus the old boys. Have a little five-a-side at the end, or a little game at the end, and when you've got Adam Costello, who's now in the old boys team, you can see how young we are. So it's a difficult one to have. But there's been many young players that have stood out for me this year. But the one that I've given the award to is we were away at Swindon, and we were missing a few defenders, and I think the players were looking around going, who are we going to play centre half today? They're not sure who we're going to play. And I called Billy over, and he went back in, and I could see him shaking his head to the players and saying, yeah, I'm playing centre half. Well, not only did he play centre half that day, he played centre half every single game after that, because his performance grew. He joined us as centre half. I moved him to full-back to fill in for us in those positions, and now he's back in at centre-half, his best position. And his level of performance this year has just grown and grown and grown, and he's a model of consistency, and he's one of the first names on the team sheet now. So, again, he's had a fantastic season. So, Young Player of the Year is Billy Maybrick. Last one, Manager's Player of the Year. So obviously my decision, so you don't agree with it, but hopefully you do, because again, I think I've spoken, he's won one award as well tonight, and I've spoken about him and said some nice words, but to back that up, I go on in the press and I say he's the best goalkeeper in the league. Now, when I speak, I try and be as honest as I can. When we don't play well, I try and say that. When we play well, I often say that we do. So for me to go into the press and say he's the best goalkeeper in the league, I honestly do believe that. And like I said before, it's often I get a little bit complacent with Jace, if you like, because when crosses come in the box, I don't worry. I don't tend to think, is he going to catch it? I'm just thinking about the next move, that he's going to catch it and then he's going to distribute it. You know, the amount of goals that you could put down to him are very, very small amount this year. He's been just a model of consistency right from day one, right throughout the season. And like I say, on top of that consistency, he's made some great saves as well. So my Player of the Year is Jason Harville. So to finish off, the question I often get asked is, and I've had it tonight twice, have you had a successful season? Now, if you judge successful seasons on trophies and winning leagues and winning cups, then maybe we haven't. But if you can judge it about some of the things that I've said tonight, you know, that FA Trophy run, the 61 points, the 10 away wins, the goals we scored, the defending, the individual performances, the smile we put on people's faces when we score last-minute goals against Hornchurch, then I think it's been a success. So, thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Steve Cass, thank you. There are another couple of awards. There's a Chairman's Player of the Year, and this was put in because the previous manager, he didn't want to choose a player. He felt they were all pretty good, and so he didn't want to, so I decided to put one in. I've left it in, and this year, the Chairman's Player of the Year I've chosen is Ian Oliver. Thanks, Ian, well deserved. The other, there's only one other award, and that is the Cuthbury Cup Shield. That goes to the person, not necessarily a player, it can be anybody, but it's one that gives a lot of time, effort, and to the club, and dedication. And this year, I've given it to our Chief Steward, Mike Randall. Mike? I wish he was a bit smaller. But he didn't like the show. Anyway, here we go. We now move on to say thank you to everybody, and it's just a quick one. So I'll ask for the stewards to come up, please. Mike Randall, Peter Stroud, Adam Touber, Graham Hill, please. Hello. One bottle. Hey, Graham. He said if I got him a crate of John Smith's, he'd be the happiest man alive. He's got a little bit extra because he's not only a steward, he does go in the kitchen, he does do a lot of things. He's even been known to go on the barbecue. Shit burgers, but he's lovely fella. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah. Ross Grant, is he around, Ross? If not, Ross, he is around, isn't he?
He's here somewhere.
No, he seems to be a floater, Ross. He seems to do everything. He seems to muck in with a 50-50. He seems to help everybody out. But he's certainly worth a bottle of champagne. Ross. And of course, we move on to the complimentary gate man, which is Tony Jackson, please. Tony. Tony, of course, is on the gate. He doesn't let anybody in unless his name's on the card. Thanks, Tony. Well done, and thank you. Hang on, have your picture taken. Thanks, Tony. First aid man, Darren Jones. We've never actually seen him in action, but I'm told he's bloody marvellous. Come on, Andy. Programme seller, who's here all the time, he's been here for years, Mr. Brian Brewer. Right, our groundsman Brian Sibley, I know he's not here, but it's nice for you to all who appreciate what he does. Sometimes he has a really, really hard job out there with the weather, but the ground he does extremely well. Been here for years and we wouldn't know what to do without him. Mr. Brian Sibley, thank you. I'll put his bottle of brandy behind the counter or I'll drink it tonight. Our press officer, Mr. John Ingleson. Thank you, John, for all your hard work today. There's a bottle of champagne for you so you can share with your loved one. Thanks, John. Our social media officer, that sounds really grand, doesn't it? Social media officer. Gemma Cuss, who does an awful lot behind the scenes, so I'll ask her mum Anne to come up and give her a bottle of champagne. Gemma Cuss.
Yeah.
Right, we move on to turnstile operatives, Rudy Cooker and Simon Plank, please. Really trusted people when you're dealing with cash. You need some trusted people on the turnstiles, and these two are the most trusted in the business. Come on, Ruby. Right, our PA man on the microphone, he's a voice, Mr. Barry Maxted. I nearly said Barry Manilow then. Barry, I got you a bottle of champagne. You can enjoy that with your loved one, wife, or whatever. Thanks, Barry, for all you do. Our video man, and he's going to have our job taking a picture of himself. Video man, David Briggs, please. Thanks, David. Our programme editor, and if you actually read the programme, you know how much hard work goes into this. It's a job which nobody wants, but he does so well. Mr. Graham Dunn.
want a picture of him.
Right. Our physio, Mr. John Edwards. He's got a bottle of champagne to share. Thanks, John. Our club shopkeeper, hey, Mr. Gabriel Phelps. Thanks very much. I don't know whether Charlie McCabe's here, our barbecue chef, is he? Charlie McCabe, is he here? No? Okay, it's another bottle of champagne I've got. Our reserve team manager, Ed Taylor's not here. Is anybody here regarding Ed? Yes. Who's the son? Yes, yes, absolutely. No, this is for your dad's son, all right. Ed does an awful lot of work. We are most appreciative of Ed. Thank you very much indeed, Ed. And who we got now? Our secretary of the youth teams, who's done an awful lot of work this year, and he's going to join us on the board, Mr. Dennis Cadd. Come on, Dennis. We got our first team assistant manager Paul Roast. I'll put that bottle of champagne for him, and also our first team goalkeeper coach Clive Saunders, who's got a bottle of champagne. I'll put that by for him too. Our kit man, transport manager, Mr. Jeff Robbins. Oh yeah, Jeff.
It was uphill then. Hang on.
And where would any club be without a trusted man who does your wages, who does the counting of the money, who does most things to do with money? It's our trusted treasurer, Mr. Jeff Maxted. Jeff's just reminded me, 15 years, he said, it's a bloody long time, isn't it? Yeah. But thanks, Jeff, that's how long he's been with us. We wouldn't be able to do without him, actually. Our liaison and events officer, Mr. Brian McIntyre, please. Thanks, Brian. And he's my right-hand man. It's one person the chairman can't do without. It's our secretary, Mr. Peter Barham.
Thank you, David. Thank you.
Well done, Peter. Thank you very much. And then, last but not least, we move on to our best three girls in the tea room. Anne Barham, Trish Robbins and Elaine Plank, please. And Lorna and I are going to take you out for a Chinese meal. Happy days. All right, girls. Sod the husbands, we're just going together. Well, that's it, except I'm going to call two of the players up. They've asked me to invite them up. They've got a couple of presentations they'd like to do. Mr. Scott Arnold and Alan Costello, please. I hope they're a bit quicker on the field.
Cozzy's prepared a speech, but his arse is falling out. Sorry, cut that out. Sorry, I didn't say that. We got. We'd just like to say thank you to everyone who's involved in the club. Obviously, the supporters. As a player, to hear the Cuthbury roar is a great feeling, and this is why we re-sign every year. And it's a credit to the club. Thank you very much. We've got a couple of presents for our nearest and dearest. I can't read that name out. I can't read that name out. No.
Vomit stick.
That's our nickname for our physio. That's what Cuzzy wasn't going to tell you earlier, but his nickname is the Vomit Stick. I don't know. Look into what you want, but could we have John Ebbers up, please? Yeah, we won't make you open it here, don't worry.
Racie's not here.
We've got Jeffrey Bobbins. Whenever you please. He doesn't expect much for a fat lad. Doesn't sweat much for a fat lad, do we? That's high blood pressure, isn't it? Thanks, mate.
He does the team talks like this now. Steve's giving them up, he doesn't, mate.
And obviously our gaffer, who 4 weeks ago completely lost his head, said, "That's it, I'm quitting." Stuff you lot, you're doing me head in. And obviously, since then, our performance levels have just doubled, and we worked the heart and soul off to keep us here. He says it was a good moments during the season, but it was really the last few weeks, wasn't it? So if we could have our gaffer, thank you very much. That'd be done. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you very much, Adam and Scott, our Captain Fantastic. Only a couple of other things to do. I'd just like to say congratulations to John and Jenny Blake. They're expecting another boy, I believe, in August. So that is fabulous news, another little footballer. And we have got another manager who's coming in, and Paul Ghost is going to do the job. So this is something that he wants to do. So we wish him all the best. So when you all come back next season, you'll see a new manager, Mr. Paul Ghost. So that's good news for you. The other thing is, in a few minutes, if the woman would like to go into that room first for the food, and then we'll follow the gentleman after in 20 minutes. May I thank you all for coming tonight. That ends the presentation. Thank you. Mr. Brian McCann and Tom Cox, please come up, 50-50. They give us a lot of time, a lot of money, they raise a lot of money. How I forgot them, I'm sorry, but please come up. Go on. Yeah, thank you, Ken. I know you're going to see Noel, but never mind. I'd just like to say this year has been the record for 50-50. Thank you for buying the tickets, and thank you, Tom, for helping me. Thank you.
I live in Collier.